The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now, your hosts, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison, and Jess Navarez.
We're back. Welcome to Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison, Jess Navarez here with you on this Thursday here in the beautiful SWBC podcast studios in Frisco, Texas. Ladies, I missed ya. We're back and we are ready to go. Let's get right to it. There was a lot that we didn't get to talk about. We're going to get into it. Let's start with your practice report first because we just got that a little bit earlier. We're going to jump right into it. We have our jar ready if we need it for any puns or anything. But here we go. All right. Damone Clark, he was limited today, again, with a shoulder injury. He was also limited on Wednesday. Rico Dowdle has a hip contusion. He did not participate on Wednesday. However, he was a full participant today. Chima Edoga, dealing with a knee injury, participated fully in Wednesday and Thursday's practice. Peyton Hendershot did not participate with an ankle injury both yesterday and today. Malik Hooker, a shoulder injury, limited both Wednesday and Thursday. CeeDee Lamb, he had a rest day. It also says knee there as well. He didn't participate yesterday. However, he was a full participant today. Zach Martin, he rested as well, and then it also says thigh. He did not participate on Wednesday, however, full participant again on Thursday. And then Micah Parsons, knee injury, limited both Wednesday and Thursday. Last but certainly not least, save this one for everybody. Tyron Smith did not participate on Wednesday, however, he was a full go on Thursday, leaving a lot of people hopeful. Ladies, we talked to some of the guys in the locker room ahead of Sunday's game, Sunday Night Football. Your Dallas Cowboys will take on the San Francisco 49ers. Christy, let's start with you. Let's get to this O-line because I think that's the biggest conversation right now is what this could look like. You're talking about an offensive line that has not played together for the entirety of this season at any point yet. You can even go back to last season. It's been a while. What have you gotten from the O-line, the guys you got to talk to in the locker room, what you heard?
It's good news. The fact that Tyron's out there as a full participant, and then Zach, you mentioned the thigh, that's the contusion.
Yep.
Of course, that ankle probably still doesn't feel very good, but the fact that he was full today, that's awesome. And even Chuma Edoga being able to participate fully. Chuma's actually had the second most snaps among the offensive linemen this year. Terrence Steele is the only one that has taken 100% of snaps among the regular starters. And Tyler Smith spoke today and was just talking about how nice it is to have all of the 5 regulars we expect to be back. So the timing can't be any better going against this San Francisco front 7, and particularly when you're going against Nick Bosa.
Yeah, and them getting reps kind of, I wouldn't say early in the week, but just things kind of being, like the game plan being installed and all of them being a part of it, I think is important for this week, going up against a defensive line that does so much and moves guys on these fronts. They got a lot of power on this offensive line, on this defensive line. So it'll be good for those. I'm glad those guys got time to practice because communication is going to be so important given what the 49ers like to do on defense.
Yeah, and yesterday wasn't really a full practice. Normally Wednesday and Thursday are your hard practices. Wednesday's game, install 1, first day of install, then another day on Thursday. And honestly, yesterday their Wednesday practice wasn't a full one there. Mm-hmm. And so it was more like a heavy walkthrough. And so the fact that today that they were doing more. The other thing is Coach is going to be using these Wednesdays moving forward. He's already started it the first month of the season. It's going to go through the end of the regular season where he is giving these veteran days. So even guys like DeMarcus Lawrence who aren't on the injury report, giving those guys easy days on Wednesdays just to keep them fresh. And then just wanted to follow up, Jess, you mentioned CeeDee Lamb with the knee. CeeDee did talk to the media today, and he says he's good to go, and, he'll be ready for Sunday.
And he said it with a big smile on his face as well.
Yeah.
Good to mention there. Something I really look forward to is if this offensive line and your starting five can be out there, is you start to see that continuity that you haven't gotten to see within this offensive line yet. Yes, you can have your rotation guys, you can have your swing guys, but when you get that solid line that can just continue to work together, grow that chemistry, grow that cadence, grow all of the rapport with each other to know those nonverbal cues, it's just going to make this offense stronger. And so really excited to see if that comes to fruition. Aisha, I'm going to turn to you, our local film expert here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk. You were talking about a very tough defensive line for this Dallas Cowboys offensive line to take on. No matter who's starting, we don't know yet. We really won't know probably until Saturday, if not right before the game as well. When you look at this offensive line, or excuse me, this defensive line for the 49ers, obviously you have a Nick Bosa. You have a lot of weapons. How can the Dallas Cowboys offensive line neutralize what this line can do to be able to protect Dak Prescott and continue to allow not just the run game to establish, but eventually open up the passing game as well?
Yeah, I went back and watched a couple games, the Cardinals, the Rams, seeing what success they had against this 49ers defense. And it's really crazy because when you look at the 49ers, you assume that defensive line is just dominant. And don't get me wrong, they have fantastic players. However, they've been struggling getting home. They're getting a lot of pressures. You're seeing a lot of pressures from Bosa, but it's not consistently that they're just getting home and having a lot of sacks. And when you looked at what the Rams did, I was very surprised by how many times Matthew Stafford had clean pockets for a good amount of time. And so with the Cowboys, I think a lot of teams honor, just how aggressive, that defensive line can be. Hey man, there should be passing opportunities there. And they also aren't a team that blitzes a whole bunch because they have faith that they can get home with 4. So this offensive line, to me, the Cowboys offensive line just has to be stout and maybe not be so reactive to the fact that, hey, this defense plays upfield. They're fast. They're aggressive. Take advantage of that. Screens, things like that. Getting these guys out in space, making them run their linebackers are fantastic. However, if you run at these guys and if you get them in open space, we saw some success last year from Tony Pollard before he got injured as well. Yeah. So I would go. I think there is opportunity there for this offense, but going against this defensive line, you just got to be. I think you got to do some of the horizontal stuff and make them run. Make them run. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I agree with you 100%, and I think that they're going to use the aggression against them.
Absolutely.
And by that I mean the defensive backs too.
Say that.
Yeah, and you're right about Stafford having some clean pockets, and then you look at last weekend, and they took care of the Cardinals, but the Cardinals had a 99-yard drive in that game on offense, and then the second half they were moving the ball. So it's possible, but I was very interested by something Coach McCarthy said today, and then asked him about it in his walk-off. And we had talked about vision defense, so we know that's something that to expect as they did back in week 2. But he says the vision and the time clock is tied to the pass rush. So what that means is the defensive backs, as Aisha says, they're expecting that the line is going to get to the quarterback. And so they kind of have that timing in their head of, okay, I know Bosa, I know Armstead, I know Farrell. I'm expecting these guys, if not to make the sack, to at least affect the passer. So maybe jump a route, be aggressive. You're going to see some press coverage here. And so if you can get blocking then, and those guys are being aggressive against your wide receivers in the pass routes, double moves, baby.
Take advantage.
Double
Absolutely.
moves. Use the aggression against them. So C.D. Lamb was asked about it today, and he says that's the thing is that they're going to be physical, and that with their pass rush, you might get 3.5 seconds to do your route, but you ain't getting 4, right? Because they're going to be coming. And so these wide receivers are very cognizant of that. They know it's going to be physical. They know that they can't be pushed off their route. But if they can just get that 3.5 seconds and just get that enough of an opening for Dak to get the ball in there, I think there are some chances for some plays. And the other thing is when defensive backs are very aggressive and they're going for the ball, if they don't get it, you've got a chance for yards after catch. Mm-hmm. If you can slip past that guy, then, it's going to be tough sledding against the 49ers, but it's also opportunities for some possible big plays.
Yes, ma'am.
There you go. I love that. Let's go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, we're going to continue to talk a little bit Cowboys defense, 49ers defense, Cowboys offense, 49ers offense. We're going to talk about a little bit more insight we got in the locker room the last couple of days as well. So make sure to stick with us. This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and we will be right back.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's talk about the watch party. Your Dallas Cowboys head to Santa Clara to take on the San Francisco 49ers in Week 5 of the 2023 season. Come out to the Miller Lighthouse at AT&T Stadium on October 8th, for a free watch party presented by 7-Eleven. Cheer on the boys alongside the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders and Rowdy while enjoying $5 Miller Lights, barbecue, game day fare, and more. Gates open at 6 o'clock and kickoff is at 7:20. So for more information and to claim your free ticket, visit DallasCowboys.com/watch party and go Cowboys, of course. Free tickets, people. No excuse not to be there. Unless you're not here. I mean, I guess that's a good excuse. But if you're here and you're able to go, those watch parties are a good time. It's going to be a great game regardless.
Can I say what I'm just...
That'd be lit.
I am anxious to see if we can get through the pregame warm-ups without any incidents. Because if you guys remember last year, I really had not seen this before. And well, back then it would have been 24 years on the sideline. But the specialists are generally out there by themselves. So you'll have the kicker, the holder, and the deep snapper for both of the teams out there. And they take turns, one will work on one side of the field, one will work on the other. And then they kind of cross paths, switching other sides and stuff. And then some other players will come out there. But there's a good portion of pregame where it's just the specialists. So last year, this playoff game, divisional round, and there's Maher and Brian Anger. And it can't even get through the warm-ups. Trent Williams, who's the all-pro left tackle, the 49ers are walking through the Cowboys, Brett Maher, and as they're trying to set the ball and not like walking between, in the direct line of the snap, but alongside, getting in the eye line of the players. It's kind of like in golf. You don't get in the eye line of someone when they're putting or anything like that. And it's just like... God, man. And so there was tension before the game even kicked off. There was tension when it's just the specialists who are on the sideline, out on the field, and the rest of the team hadn't even come out there. And so actually the officiating crews weren't even out there yet. So it's like, I'm really anxious to see. There was I know that Brian Anger and those guys, they were not happy with the way things went with that last season in pregame.
Angered.
He was angered. Oh, my gosh.
Oh. Trent is a mess.
There's the pun, John.
Let me look.
There we go.
Trent, that's how Trent get down. That's how he get down.
He's that way.
That's who he is. So we'll see how they respond. That's something I definitely thought about as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I was waiting for it.
Oh, my God.
All right. Let's continue on. No, Chris, you bring up a really good point, and a big topic of conversation with the guys in the locker room is how do you stay even-keeled when this is such an emotionally fueled game, whether it is just a Week 5 game to you, you see it that way or not. That can't erase the fact that there is history there, and not just the history with everything going in years past, but specifically these last 2 years with these teams and with very similar players, right? With, like you were just talking about with Trent Williams, and how much the last 2 years you have heard the guys in the locker room talk about this bad taste they have in their mouth from losing to the same team that kind of has their number and that they know it. And they're just so ready to slay that dragon and be done with that rhetoric and be done with the topic of conversation of you can't beat the 49ers. So the big question has been, well, how do you stay so even-keeled? Does this feel more like a playoff game, really, when you look at it? And I think it really depends on who you talk to. A lot of the guys will go in there. I liked what CeeDee Lamb said today. He said, if you talk about history too much, history's going to repeat itself. So we just kind of have to take it as what it is, a Week 5 matchup. Jonathan Hankins earlier in the week had a conference call, and he said, yeah, this very much feels like a playoff game. So again, it just kind of depends on who you're talking to. But overall, Aisha, I'm going to go to you first for this. You talked to a lot of the guys today. Where are their minds at going into this game? And what kind of feel did you get out of the locker room after picking their brains a little bit? What are you seeing from them?
Just very, to me, I felt a team that's very confident in their game plan, confident in their coaching, confident in their film study, which has been extensive. I think I even heard, I don't know if it was Mike McCarthy, one of them just referenced just how much they did some extra hours of film study, because this specifically also, like this offense, the 49ers offense, it's complex. There's a lot going on, you know. So I feel like from what I got from talking to a lot of the players is that it's a quiet confidence. It's not a boastful confidence. It's a very much so you mentioned the point that a lot of the 49ers hasn't changed. A lot of the Cowboys on the offensive side has changed, but there just hasn't been a whole bunch of changes in certain things. So it's just like, you got to go do it. You just got to go do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the energy I've gotten from a lot of the guys. Quiet confidence, confident in their game plan and what they've done to get to this point, to get over this hump that, you know, we've been mentioning.
Yeah,
Christy,
quiet confidence. I love that.
There was somebody in the locker room that I knew people were going to swarm a little bit as soon as he came in. That was Trey Lance, who obviously, as you know, has a history with the San Francisco 49ers. So very similar to last week when Will Greer was in the chat for the Patriots side of things, and we were having that conversation of how he could potentially help, you know, the Patriots kind of infiltrate the Cowboys systems and what he knows. Very similar conversation with Trey Lance. Did you get to catch up with Trey today and hear kind of what he said about returning back?
Yeah, Trey kind of, he downplayed it a bit. He's like, yeah, but what he can provide is insight on why they're doing certain things and what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So, you know, does he know the game plan and what to expect? No, but he can shed insight on a few things, and it's helpful. But that's really as much for the coaches, for anybody else. But it's mainly Cooper Rush that is pretending to be Brock Purdy this week, right? Because your backup quarterback runs the scout team. And so the first team defense during the week doesn't practice against the Cowboys' first team offense. They practice against the practice squad guys and the backups on the 53-man roster who are running plays off of cards. It's called running off cards. And they are running 49ers plays, at least plays that the Cowboys coaches think that the 49ers are going to run. So Cooper Rush would do most of this week pretending to be Brock Purdy, and then Trey Lance would presumably get a few. That's how it generally works on a regular week. But let's hope that we don't see Trey Lance in this game, because he's going to be the emergency third quarterback again, as he is through the first 4 weeks. So the only way that you would see Trey Lance in this game is if both Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush were both injured and not able to return to action.
You know what I thought was interesting? I'm going to go to you for this one, too, is you heard DeMarcus Lawrence talking about getting to spend some time with Trey Lance as he went into some of the defensive meetings to kind of give his insight and his thoughts. I thought that was really cool there as well. Aisha, when it comes to somebody like DeMarcus Lawrence, who is just such an impactful player for being a veteran that he is. He sets the tone. He's quick with it. How can both him and Micah Parsons really, really shine in this game? What do they have to do to be able to get that pass rush or earn it, like they like to say, earn that pass rush? What are some of the key things you noticed as far as the 49ers offense goes? How can this D-line on the opposite side of things, we're talking about the Cowboys D-line, earn that pass rush and go from there?
Yeah, I think Tank mentioned staying in the backfield with them, just living in the backfield. And the way that you do that, especially with the 49ers, they are a sleight of hand offense, I would say, is that they are looking to get your eyes looking one way and going the other way. One thing that also makes them unique is the fact that they run double motion, rather. So it's a secondary motion. So most offenses, you'll see a guy kind of go in motion. It's for the other team to get some information. No, these guys, they're motioning 2, sometimes 3 times on the line of scrimmage. And so with the defense, when DeMarcus Lawrence says we just have to play our keys, he's being very literal. It's very difficult to be disciplined in that way, but they have to just be disciplined and play their assignment, because the 49ers are trying to get you to just slide a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. One guy be out of position, and then they're getting yak yards. So when to answer your question, with someone like a DeMarcus Lawrence, that's where he thrives. He is fantastic against the run. He's such a cerebral player, so intelligent. If he can lead with just playing his keys, making sure guys are in the right spot, there's going to be plays there. But also, too, the right tackle for the 49ers has had a little bit of trouble. I think it's, I don't want to ruin his name.
McKivitz.
Yeah, I mean, he's given up quite a few pressures, 4 sacks. He's a gentleman that's still trying to figure out things as well there. And so I expect for DeMarcus Lawrence to take advantage of some of those opportunities as well.
The defense, sure, tackling is the number one thing this weekend, because they get so many yards after contact, so many yards after catch. And the other thing is, and this is something that Dan Quinn was talking about Monday, and we referenced it briefly on Monday afternoon, but I went through and transcribed because I think this is really important, because he was talking about, Kyle Shanahan, he calls the plays for the 49ers, and his dad, Mike Shanahan, winning those Super Bowls with the Broncos back in the 90s, and Mike Shanahan, his run game and the way that they did things, that's not how Kyle does things anymore. It's a different kind of thing, run. And so instead of gap scheme, Mike ran zone schemes and Kyle runs more gap schemes. But here's the thing. What they do a great job of, according to Dan Quinn, is making their pass plays look like their run plays. So he says, if your pass plays don't look like your run game, they're really not that effective. But one of the things that Kyle and his father certainly had was their run looked like the keepers coming out. The power looked like the trap passes coming down the field. So when you can marry a run look, you marry that to a pass protection look, and that's where they get the advantage. So what does that mean for the defense? It means if you're a linebacker, you can't hesitate in this game. You're going to have to go downhill, Dan says, to do that run. But you're going to have to be decisive. You can't hesitate, because they'll pull a bet and they'll pop it right over you.
And that's what Micah said. Point. That's what Micah, when I touched base with him today, when I was asking him just about some of the things that they do where they bring a fullback or wide receiver or whatever across the line and they trap, how do you stop that, and how do you try to get ahead of that or behind that? And he's like, no, you just got to go do it. You can't be hesitant with this offense. You can't be hesitant. They have to be decisive and just go make the play. Like, whatever you see, trust that. Because what they want you to do is second guess yourself and be out of position. So just a lot of, when you talk about sound football, DeMarcus Lawrence is one of the absolute best. And so I really think if he leads in that right, to play sound, the rest of the guys will follow suit, and it'll be a good game.
You know what I think is so interesting, too, about this game, and Dan Quinn is actually the one that brought this up. He was asked about the versatility within the 49ers offense of guys that can play different positions, right? So you have tight ends that can play receiver. You have just really everything. And he said, well, our guys can do that, too, on this side of the ball. So it's versatility versus versatility, which is a pretty rare matchup considering that's really hard to do. You know, you hear about Dan's defense being able to be so versatile when you have your linebackers that can be safeties and vice versa, and you can kind of move guys around like that. That's a really hard task to do. It sounds easy when you're just talking about it day to day, and you're like, oh, look, Bell is now playing safety, and you just don't really think about how difficult that is for these guys to do. But when you're able to play those mind games, we talked about this on this podcast last year, and Dan Quinn is so good at keeping people guessing because you don't really know what's coming. 49ers offense is able to do that on the offensive side of the ball. So you really have a great matchup with the versatility that you're able to just play within this game, and I think that's so intriguing about this matchup specifically.
Yeah, there are very few defenses that can match up as well as the Cowboys can match up against all of those weapons that the 49ers have. And one thing Micah said is that Christian McCaffrey, their running back who's leading the league in rushing yards, that he's just as good as a wide receiver that sometimes you want to put a defensive back on him. You know, he's that good at running routes.
Christian McCaffrey, by the way,
Might do it.
This season alone already has 42 points. He is that red zone threat that you have to contain. You have to contain him, especially in the red zone. Look, the man will find the end zone.
Yeah, they
He
do.
will find it.
How good is he? He broke Jerry Rice's team record for consecutive games with a touchdown. So that's not only how prolific he's been, but how consistent he's been dating back to last season. That's going to go down as one of the great in-season trades, I think, in NFL history, getting Christian McCaffrey the way that they did from Carolina last year. What a great move.
Yeah, that offense runs through him. I mean, it's hard to granted, like they're going to make plays and things like that, but he is such an important part of what they do, and they depend on their running backs a lot. Their running backs do a lot of their work in the open field, and Kyle Juszczyk, a dying breed in this league, being a real fullback, but he can do so much as a tight end. They use him so much in blocking schemes. He's almost an extra lineman, you know. So I'm also just looking at, you know, with the 49ers offense, they really want to cause traffic. They do a lot of crossers and where they're trying to get your guys. They're trying to do like involuntary rub routes and things like that. They're trying to.
Oh, they're not involuntary.
Listen, I'm trying to be fair. Look, I'm trying to be fair.
What's the difference between a pick and a rub route?
It's just the way you say it.
Yeah, if you're on offense, it's a rub route because that's legal. If you're on defense, you were picked and it should have been a flag. That's the difference between a pick and a rub.
Yeah, and so they run a lot of that type of stuff. And so, you know, one of the Cowboys are a heavy man team. They're one of the heaviest like running man teams in NFL. I'm really wondering if they're going to maybe run a little bit more zone, you know, to be able to maybe do some vision defense, maybe make Brock Purdy have to fit balls in small places, because when you play man against this team, you really play into their hand in the way that they like to clog the line of scrimmage and cluster guys together. So for this defense to be successful, I really think that might be something we see more than what we've seen this year, is them running more zone concepts.
I'm curious to see what you think of Brock Purdy. What do you think?
I think the guy has he's played incredibly efficient. They're running an offense for him that I'm not going to knock a young player for having help and figuring things out and sorting through things. He's not afraid to take some chances, you know, throwing the ball downfield. It's just they've made it to where he does not have to do a whole bunch of decision making, and he's definitely just getting the ball in the hands of his playmakers. I think his accuracy has improved a lot too from last year.
Okay. Yeah, if I can steal something from Mark Sanchez, who spent a year here with the Cowboys. That's the former Jets first round pick, quarterback in the league for many years, and he was working the game for CBS last week, and he had the best analogy for Brock Purdy, and that's something that we've kind of talked about before, but it's being the proverbial point guard. And that he's got so many weapons and gets the ball out so quickly. And that West Coast, it's not the exact same West Coast that Mike McCarthy runs, but it's what have we been talking about this whole offseason and going into this season? Get the ball out quickly, let the guys make plays, get it to them in space. That's what they've been doing so beautifully with Purdy in San Francisco. But Aisha, to y'all's point, he can get it downfield too.
Yeah.
And Ayuk is something. And Deebo Samuel, he hasn't really been healthy. We haven't seen like the real Deebo this year.
Right.
But oh my gosh, let's hope that he stays un-Deebo-ish, at least for another weekend.
Un-Deebo-ish.
Deebo was on the practice report yesterday for the 49ers. I haven't gotten today's just yet, but Deebo was on the practice report, and I'm trying to see.
I think he's battling shoulder.
Yeah,
so,
it says right here on Wednesday he was limited with ribs and knee.
Ribs. Okay.
Multiple
Ooh, that's a tough one
ribs
as a
and
wide
knee.
receiver.
He got
Yeah,
popped.
so-
He got popped a couple games ago, and he's been
Hasn't
struggling.
been the same.
Yeah, he's been struggling with that. But yeah, you mentioned Ayuk and those guys touching.
Oh, he's a freak.
Deron
Ayuk.
Bland. Deron Bland's gonna. They're gonna think that matchup's gonna be cool because they played against each other in college.
You think they're going to travel, Deron Bland?
No, but
maybe.
I would rather him.
Okay.
I would rather him have to deal with him because Brandon Ayuk out of his releases, his route running has just improved so much. And when they do, I mean, they're not taking a lot of shots downfield, but when they do, they're effective because people are they're biting on what's going on at the line of scrimmage and all the decoration stuff. I call it decoration.
Yeah, decorations, window dressing.
Sprinkles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you know.
Brandon Ayuk has 320 yards so far this season. He is 17 of 20 targets. He averages about 18.8 yards per carry. Mind you, he's
that's
played
a
3
lot.
games this season, not 4. So imagine if that was 4 games. He has 2 touchdowns. His longest reception so far has been 42 yards.
One thing about Purdy, though, one thing that Mike McCarthy, I heard him mention, when you talk about the turnover battle, is that the statistics show that there's more turnovers coming from fumbles and from quarterbacks. And one thing about Purdy, he's put the ball on the ground. He will put the ball on the ground.
Not this year necessarily.
They haven't been recovered, but he's done it. He's done it 4 times.
Yeah.
So that's something that's why I felt like DeMarcus Lawrence said, you got to go take it.
Yeah.
You got to go take it. So
It's great.
Let's go ahead and take our next break. When we come back, we have a special guest to introduce to you here on the podcast. And we, of course, have to talk about our predictions, who we think is going to have a big game. So, ladies, I'm going to give you a heads up, and I'm going to let you think about it this time. I'm not just going to spring it on you. When we come back, make sure to stay tuned. Like I said, we have a lot to talk about, and you're not going to want to miss who our special guest is. This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Stick with us.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Welcome back to Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We have a special guest here But we have to read this first, and then we'll introduce you. Check out the latest and greatest addition to tours at AT&T Stadium and at the store in Frisco. Meet Jerry Jones, an interactive experience. Get a peek behind the curtain and into the fascinating life of Jerry Jones with a focus on innovative fan experience in partnership with AT&T. This interactive technology gives tour-goers the opportunity to ask Mr. Jones a variety of questions. For more information and to book your visit, visit DallasCowboys.com/tours. All right. Well, you may have noticed we have somebody else here on this table, our fourth seat filled. This is Nicole Hutchison, and Nicole is your new Dallas Cowboys team reporter. We are so excited to have you on. Thank you for joining us. She's going to be here with us on the podcast every day now, so we are welcoming her in here with open arms to all of our crazy shenanigans. Nicole.
Thank y'all so much. I've been watching you guys for the past couple of weeks, so I'm like, oh my God, you guys are so awesome. Looking forward to working with you guys every day.
We're so excited. So tell us a little bit about your background. Where did you come from? All the good things. All things Nicole. What do we need to know?
Gotcha. So I came from a sports anchor, reporter, local TV background. So I started off in Alexandria, Louisiana when I graduated from college at Howard University. And then I went on to work at the Tennis Channel for like a couple of weeks, did some work with them. And then I landed a spot as a sports anchor reporter in Lexington, Kentucky, covering the University of Kentucky, women's basketball, football, men's basketball, so pretty much all those sports. Now I'm here.
Man, Kentucky's been on fire with their football. Everyone thinks of it as a basketball school.
Man, the past 2 years, last year was a little downfall after the year before, but this year I feel like they got Georgia this week. I know Patrick with no C is going to hear me and say this, but I think they're going to get the dub against Georgia. They're playing really well.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Those are fighting words.
It's fighting words. I know. I'm confident in those boys. They've got a lot of talent on that team, so sad I won't be able to miss it, but I'm here covering the Cowboys.
Yeah,
so.
if you're from Louisiana or had time there, have your allegiances always been to the Cowboys? Or
So I'm from Houston, Texas.
There we go.
It's coming out.
Texans.
Christy's airing some dirty laundry already. Oh, my gosh.
No. I respect what D'Amico got going on over there.
Yeah.
Like,
They're on their way back.
They're on their way back. They're on their way back.
I'm from Galveston, Texas, originally, so, you know.
Respect.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah. There you go.
My mom, though, her side of the family, they're all Dallas Cowboys fans. So when they knew I got the job, they were screaming and hollering. But no, I've been a Houston, Texas fan. Grew up technically as a Chicago Bears fan because my dad played for the Bears. But after that,
you go.
Yeah, then I was like, let me switch over to the Texans, and now I'm going to be a Cowboys fan. I can feel it. I feel it coming.
You feel it brewing. Well, Nicole, you just started, and so what has been you were in the locker room today.
Yeah.
What has been the thing that's, what a week to start, first of all. Let's start there. What has been the thing that has stood out to you the most from this team, just what you've seen in the locker room and what you've gathered about them going into this Week 5 matchup?
I'd say their confidence. Every single time you talk to a player, just hear a player talk, you hear how they're so confident in this week. And I actually got a chance to ask Dak. I was like, listen, I know you're probably tired of hearing about, the last 2 playoff losses to the 49ers, but he was like, pretty much, we were thinking about what he was saying. But no, I know he was probably underlying. I know they're just confident and ready to prove a lot of people wrong because they're going in as the underdogs for the first time this year. So, yeah, I think that confidence is like the biggest thing that I've gathered from this team.
Yeah, we called it quiet. It's like a quiet confidence. Yeah. It's not boastful, but it's like, I trust my game plan. I trust my teammates, and it's just that's the energy I felt this week too.
Yeah, and it's a different team from the way that game ended, or even partway through the game, because when Tony Pollard suffered the ankle injury in that game, that basically after he went out, that offense was kind of like a car that you get stuck in the mud and you're spinning the tires, but you're not getting anywhere. And so not only is Pollard back and the number 1 back and healthy going into this game, and by the way, Rico Dowdle being able to practice today in spite of the hip injury, that's important. But Brandon Cooks, we haven't really seen him unleashed yet. And so this offense for the Cowboys, as good as they were last year,
they're better.
They weren't. That wasn't the full thing that we saw in that divisional round game. So I'm super excited for Sunday.
Absolutely. And what I find so interesting, we talked about this earlier this week, was Mike McCarthy hasn't had to show his full hand yet. And this is the perfect opportunity that if you want to show your full hand and what exactly your team can do, everything has been building up for this team to do that in this game. I mean, you're talking about Brandon Cooks. He hasn't gotten cooking yet.
Oh, my gosh.
I felt that one come. I just
She knew
knew
it.
I knew it was
Jazzy
coming.
beat me to it. There you go.
I knew it was
Oh,
coming.
gosh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm running out of coins, Jazz.
I'm going to make Christy take a mortgage out of
Yeah,
it.
second mortgage.
No, but my point is you haven't seen it yet because you haven't had to. And you have, what a good problem to have is you have just this room full of playmakers that you didn't know this, the last time these two teams met, you didn't know what your wide receiver group would look like.
Yeah.
You didn't know what your tight end group was capable of, and they're coming together as well on that side too. Your running back group, you didn't know you wouldn't have Ezekiel Elliott, who was banged up the last time that they played, and he really was trying to take that full load in this previous game. Tony Pollard goes out, and then your momentum shifts, and then it just kind of went from there. But now you also have these guys that, as much as they say this is just another game, they want that monkey off their back. They don't want to talk about it anymore. And like you said, Nicole, I loved your question to Dak today. All right, we have about 5 minutes left. So one thing I want to pose to the table is there's still two kryptonites of this Dallas Cowboys team that seem to haunt them, if you will, when it comes to their losses or just not their best showing. One being the run defense, and then the other one being the red zone woes and not capitalizing in the red zone. Aisha, I'll start over here with you. What can the offense do to make sure that the red zone conversation is put to bed this week? What do they need to do in the red zone specifically against this 49ers defense?
Man, listen, I'm trying to see some RPO. I'm trying to see Dak get some touches down there. I'm trying to see them, with this offensive line being put together, we'll see how they run the ball down there. But something's got to give. I mean, the 49ers are 23rd in red zone scoring rate. So it's people are scoring 66% down there on them. So that's kind of where they get a little fluky. Cowboys are ranked 30th at 36.84 in the red zone as far as a scoring percentage. So that battle right there is like, it's pivotal to what the turnout of this game is going to be. Mm-hmm. For me, it's really just seeing a little bit more of the RPO. If you look at some of the previous games, it looks like there's been opportunities there for Dak. I want him to take them because the 49ers are an aggressive defense. They get upfield. The middle of that defense sometimes is open just because those guys are so aggressive. So RPO. Put some of that in there for me. I want to see some of that from my quarterback.
Yeah, I just want to see Tony Pollard play a full game against them because I'm really excited about that. And when you talk about the middle, tight ends. And then them really stepping up and targeting them, that's really going to help in your red zone, not just for this game, but through the season.
Yeah.
I want to see those wide receivers actually get a huge game. I know CeeDee Lamb, that first touchdown targeted to a wide receiver last week. So I really want to see these wide receivers. And Brandon Cooks, he has not. I'm not going to say it. He's not had a. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. We haven't seen a lot out of him, but that's why they got him, for games like these. So I really want to see these wide receivers have a big game.
What I want to see, and I'm bouncing off of Christy here with Tony Pollard, I want to see your other running back special packages that you have with the Deuce Vaughn and a Hunter Lipke in the red zone. I think Hunter is that unspoken hero, or overly spoken if you get on Twitter and they're praising him, calling him Governor and President Lipke on Cowboys Twitter. But I want to see those special packages that you hear about that they haven't, we just haven't seen yet. I want to see a little bit of more Deuce Vaughn in there as well. But overall, I just want to see what the solution is. Who's your red zone guy? I want to see that starting to be established this week going forward.
I don't think it needs to just be one
it doesn't need to be one. Yeah, multiple.
For this game,
I
need to see somebody.
Because with the
in
matchups,
the
it could be a different guy each week, and that's what's so wonderful is you have so many weapons, versatility. But here's the thing, it's going to be who wins the takeaway battle. Last year? What did I say every week going into a game? Whoever wins the turnover battle. Well, dang it, with this one, they've only had one giveaway. The Cowboys have only had one giveaway, so there are so many weapons on each side of the ball. Both of these teams, you cannot give away your possessions and give them extra ones.
Let's go around the table. Who do you expect to have a big game?
Yeah, y'all already said it, but Brandon Cooks, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity in this secondary to take advantage, shallow crossers, things of that nature. I think that he should be able to sit in some of those zones and do some things there. He's savvy, really savvy, but this is an aggressive forward-playing defense. Run past them, show that threat, and go ahead and, just go ahead and do it. Like, I'm ready to just see it. So Brandon Cooks is really one of the guys that I think could open up this offense for the rest of the whole game if they even just go at him early in a deep pass. So let's do it.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, I'm going with CeeDee Lamb, though. You haven't seen the best of him yet this season just because he hasn't been targeted that much. So I want to see him actually be explosive. He's one of the fastest receivers out in the league. So I want to see him. I think he's going to have a lot of success this week, especially by the way that he was so confident in the locker room earlier when we got a chance to talk to him.
I'm going to go defensive side of the ball, and I'm actually been vacillating between Leighton Vander Esch, because you talk about going downhill and stopping the run and just but then I'm thinking Donovan Wilson or J-Ron Curse. J-Ron, with the way that you can do that.
I was shocked you didn't say Dono.
You can do Donovan,
shocked.
and I'll go with J-Ron. How about that?
Yeah,
Jess, who are you going to go with?
I'm going with Jake Ferguson. Fergie. You saw him getting warmed up last week, and that's because he's getting ready to go. He's getting ready for takeoff. You need that yak ability. With this game, this is a game of yardage. You need it. You need to be able to push through. You cannot afford to get behind the sticks at any point in this game. Shoot yourself in the foot. No self-inflicted wounds. And Jake Ferguson is going to make sure you're always pushing for that extra yardage, even if it's on a third down situation. What have you. I'm expecting maybe he doesn't get the most receptions, but he's going to give you very, very good receptions when he gets the ball.
Move the sticks. Move the sticks.
I just want to change my
Change it.
answer.
Go ahead.
Change.
Go, girl.
Jonathan Hankins.
Yeah, stop the run.
The difference maker. Like, I talked to him in the locker room today, and he is just so happy to be here, to be a part, because I didn't even think about, like, they were so stout against the run last year with the 49ers. They shut down that stuff, and he was coming off of an injury. He was coming off of a pec strain. So him not even being 100% and him clogging up that lane and then making such a difference for those linebackers to play free and those safeties. And Jonathan Hankins is a guy that I think is going to make a difference too. Tater tots, y'all. I mean, it's
gosh. Dang. This is the last quarter. No more puns or tater tots or barnacles.
Y'all got to let us curse in peace. It's my curse word.
Well, I would rather you say that and not actually curse. I don't want to get us in
Wait, I'm
trouble
late.
over here.
What is the tater tots?
It's just a curse word.
curse
It's a filler word.
It's
so
just
I
a
don't
tater tots, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, we're going to have to come up with something for you for this pun jar. So if anybody has any suggestions,
no parts.
you leave it in the comments.
Hey, we got enough. We can get like 2 orders of tater tots so far.
Well, thank you, Nicole, for joining us. She's going to be here with us starting Monday every day, so you're not going to see the last of her today. Welcome her with open arms. Where can they follow you on Twitter?
In Hutchison TV.
There you go. Follow her, give her all the love. Welcome her to our Girls Talk, Boys Talk family.
Thank you.
Ladies, we have come to the end of our time here on the podcast. It goes by quick when you're having a good time. But thank you all so much for joining us. We appreciate everybody that listens to us every week. We'll be back here, same time, same place, Monday morning on Monday afternoon. Oh my goodness. Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock, DallasCowboys.com. For Aisha, which is this way, Christy, Nicole, and Jess, we appreciate y'all so much. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe watching the game wherever you're watching it. Go Cowboys and Carpe Omnia.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!